Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we are doing Payday 3 Dev Diary Episode 3 Combat. We're going to do a live reaction for it, so let's get straight into it.
I mean, I haven't said everything that those does though.
Do we want to tell them everything?
We weren't specifically looking to fix Payday the Heist or Payday 2. We feel like those games have their own identity. I am Mildred Kovacevic, also known as Mio. I am senior game designer here at Starbreeze. On launch, Payday 3 will have 4 difficulties. We have normal, hard, very hard, and overkill. The general intention is if you're just starting out the game and you're still learning how to play Payday 3, we recommend you start off with normal. Once you're used to that, you can move to hard mode, and hard is sort of our default difficulty while you're still leveling up after you understand how the game works. Very hard is our difficulty where you've progressed enough through the game where you have a loadout you're comfortable with. If you're a veteran player, you'll probably be playing very hard in default. Overkill in Payday 3 is planned to be a brutal, unfair difficulty. So in terms of enemies, one of the bigger changes people will find is that we don't segregate enemies based on the difficulty you're playing. What we want is players to be able to experience any part of the game across all difficulties. So what we instead do is we play with the enemy numbers and we play with their accuracy and damage. One other thing that people will notice is we don't actually change their health values between the difficulties. And this is because we want to encourage people to be able to play with each other. There's one feeling we want to avoid is a situation where you have to play on an easier difficulty and be bored, or they have to play on a harder difficulty and be overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a good little thing that they're doing there, where they're keeping the health the same all the way around. Hopefully it's a good amount of health that they have and it's not too little, so where in like the higher difficulties they're still super easy to kill, but I'd say you want them to be hard, super hard to kill in the higher difficulties, and then obviously still really hard to kill in the easier difficulties, just to keep it more entertaining and stuff for those beginner players where they're not just killing a dozer in like 5 seconds. And then obviously changing the accuracy instead of their health for the levels is a good thing. You still want to maintain the same feeling all around, except just the difficulty of them shooting and stuff.
One thing that matters a lot is the movement in the game, where you have sliding and mantling and vaulting and all these other movement options for you as a player. My name is Jimmy Karlström. I'm a senior game designer here at Starbreeze. Your armor affects the player's total weight as a base, but then also other things can affect that weight. This allows you as a player to be faster or slower depending on what you have equipped.
The bigger change are on the armor system that the player has. I'm Martin Bern. I am a lead gameplay programmer. The armor is built up of shards, so you can you have like specific components that can be broken down by getting shot at. It can recoup, but if you lose one, you lost it forever. Not forever. You can still get it back from armor bag, similar to what we have the doctor bag or medic bag in Payday 2. The health is not regenerating at all. It's just going down. As soon as you lost the armor, you start losing the health.
We also have different things affecting different health bars at any time. So for example, your standard enemies, if they shoot you, they will first hit the armor, but certain special enemies will circumvent that. So you can't just rely on stacking armor and not worrying about health. Health is also a resource you need to pay attention to.
So that's a good thing to cover real quick is, so they're doing an armor system kind of like some games out there. I guess like Call of Duty can be an example, where if you're playing and you want to armor up, you got 3 slots depending on what vest you have. Who knows if they're going to have different variants of the vest. And your health is broken up into different segments. But the one good noticeable thing is So obviously they'll take out armor first, standard AI. But then there's also going to be probably armor piercing rounds that some of the special AI are going to have. So they're just going to bypass damaging the armor and go straight for your health. So that's also a good little thing that they're adding to keep you on your toes and actually paying attention to your health and not like, oh, don't worry, I have armor. I'll freaking play it up later.
To go over what's new about enemies, first I just want to explain how we categorize the enemies internally. So we have 3 categories. We have the common enemies, so that's your bread and butter SWAT and heavy SWAT. Then we have what we call the uncommon enemies. Internally, that is the shield and the sniper. And then we have the specials, and they're there to break the pace.
Oh, so you lost a respect for the bulldozer. Yeah, in Payday 3 we are upping him again. It's not like it's only getting more health or more spongy. He has a couple of new behaviors as well that might surprise the players. One of the behaviors is the bull rush. You might stand there, shoot at him, you might be ignoring him, looking in a different direction, and then he just can decide to bull rush you. And that will, tackle you, make you immobile for a while. Same thing if you get too close to him. If you walk up to him, he will kick you. I mean, the respect for him should be back in Payday 3.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed about the bulldozer in Payday 2 is you can pretty much almost run around him and kind of be like dodge him and stuff like that, and then take him out pretty quickly if you get in his face and spray down his head or whatever. But at least they're amping him up to actually make him more viable in a sense. Like, you shouldn't be able to get right in his face and be able to take him out in like 30 seconds. He should be able to knock you down, stun you, and do some more damage and stuff like that.
It's true for a dozer, but also true for all our specials. If you really, really, really hate a certain special, you can build something that basically deletes them for you from the game. So if you really hate the dozer and you never want to see a dozer again, you can have a build that consistently 3-shots the dozer, but you will be weaker in other aspects of the game.
And this is where it goes into playing with your friends, right? You can be the dozer deleter, or one of your friends then can be the squad deleter. It's all about cooperation and trying to find a way through the heist together.
So that's one of the things that I want to cover is, yes, they're amping up some of the specialists, but you're making deck layouts or skill trees or whatever to 3-tap a dozer, maybe 1-tap something else or whatever. And I mean, that's cool and all, but once you get to that point with your team, let's say you got one guy designated to 3-tapping a dozer, and then you got one guy 3-tapping a cloaker and doing all this other stuff. Like, if you have one person for each thing, I can definitely see the game just being way too easy, where everybody's just designated to one thing and that's it, and it's just straightforward. So we'll see how it turns out actually in the gameplay, but I don't think you should be able to build builds that can 3-tap something or 1-tap a thing unless it's like a regular just SWAT team guy that could get 1-tapped. But I think 3-tapping a dozer is definitely going to make the game pretty simple later down the line once everybody figures out the class loadouts and stuff like that. It should still at least be a little bit more challenging than that, but then you're also weaker in different aspects. That's why your other teammates just cover you for that. So I don't think there's really a drawback, but we'll see.
So the Nader is a new enemy type. He has a bunch of gas grenades on him and flashbangs, so he will take the gas grenade and throw it where the players are, and this will create a gas cloud that exists for a certain amount of time. While you are in that cloud, you cannot sprint, and you will take damage over time directly to your health. Zapper is very similar to how he used to be. We have made some smaller changes to how the stun works. You will have first a partial stun where you can still shoot back and move your aim and try to free yourself. But if you don't manage to do that, you will enter a full stun. Cloakers have had a really big update. I would argue that they've gotten the most love, even though they don't deserve it because nobody likes cloakers. We want the cloaker to feel like a bully, so he now has 2 nightstick bracers. If you leave a deployable unattended and he walks past it, he will melt it with a bottle of acid because he's a toxic person like that.
So the cloaker is actually, if you use your imagination, it kind of looks like the Predators. It's pretty funny. Now they just need the ability to turn invisible.
One really neat improvement is on the shield enemies. The other swords have a behavior where they understand the shield much better, so they can actually walk behind this guy, use him as a cover, stand behind him, go out, shoot at the player, go back in behind. So it creates a little bit more interesting dynamic.
The shield is really not there to kill you. He has a handgun, but he's mostly there to support other units. So if you have just a solo shield, he's probably annoying. If you have a shield that's covering for multiple enemies, then he's actually dangerous.
When we are picking the weapons that goes into the game, we are looking at a lot of different things. What is the sort of perception of a weapon in the real world? And what do we need to fulfill a certain gameplay element? So the weapon modding in Payday 3 is very similar to Payday 2 in the aspects of like you can pick your own sight, your magazines, stocks, etc. But the way you get them is a little bit different. So each gun has their own progression and their own progression path, where you as a player play the game as you gain experience with that gun and as you use it throughout multiple heists, then you will unlock more options and you will be able to find new ways to play with it. One thing that we have in Payday 3 is preset weapons. These are essentially weapons that come pre-configured with already a set of mods equipped on them, but also a unique look that you can't get otherwise. Something that is important when you're playing with the preset weapons is that even though you're playing with these preset weapons, you're still progressing the base weapons levels. And that is a really important factor, so you never lose out on that progression. We are just saying like, hey, you're playing with this gun, cool, you're gaining experience too.
So that's one of the things that I'm probably not gonna look forward to is the preset weapons. Like how other games will use Call of Duty as an example. You have the store, you buy a weapon, it's already pre-attached, and you just use that. And it's kind of like the same thing when a new season rolls out. Usually a new weapon appears, and then instead of grinding to unlock it and leveling up, you can just go to the store, buy it, already has attachments, and then you level up that way. It's kind of basically how they're doing here. They're having pre-built weapons, so where you don't have to actually grind. You still have to level them up, but it already has attachments for you, so it's just gonna make the game slightly easier. Which I don't think is a great idea, but who knows? We'll see what other people think about it. I think it's just a cheap way to make new players play the game easier, even though it should be difficult and you need to learn how to play.
So the overkill weapons in the game, they are essentially your big power-up. It's something that you gain progress toward during a heist when you are completing objectives. And then as you gain this progress, at some point then later, you can call in your overkill weapon. This is something that is supposed to be a real power upgrade for you and help you get out of that sticky situation. We have a recoil system that is a spray pattern and a gun kick based system that allows you to essentially control your recoil in certain aspects, but there are always a little bit of randomization. that you can't control. But with that said, you can learn and master the spray patterns and find a weapon that really suits your personality and what you want to play with. It's not about finding a specific breakpoint in a game where you want to reach a specific stat number, as in Payday 2 necessarily. Instead, it's about what you enjoy in your combat situations and how you want to engage with it.
So there are a couple of different gadgets. You have ECM jammer that blocks the enemy to alert. It also blocks cameras. You have a mini camera that you can place, and then you can at any time view through these cameras. The idea is obviously that you as a team equip different ones and you get different possibilities within the heist.
One of the things I'm liking so far is how they're streamlining a lot of things, like those ECM jammers. They're more small and compact. They're not like big, bulky radios that you can slap on the wall or the ground, whatever. And then the mini cameras, that's pretty nice touch there. We've already seen them before, but just to hit that point again. A lot of the stuff they have, they're streamlining. That's good. You don't want it too complicated, but let's get back into it.
I believe we have created a really good foundation. I think it's a good first step.
I would like the community to explore the opportunities of Payday and how the different ways you can approach a heist, and also how their choices in the game, both when it comes to loadout and their actions, actually has an impact.
I would like to see players complain about their hatred towards the enemies in particular. I know that the Cloaker is much hated, and I hope people learn to hate him even more. And I also want to see some cool skill builds.
Mio hasn't thought about this. This is gonna break the game.
You'll fix it in post.
No, cut that. That's terrible. That's just a fucking lie. No.
Alright, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are excited as I am for Payday 3. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.